while two of his assistants were shot dead next to him. A lung had to be removed, and he would never be entirely healthy again. Nor would Ruja ever sleep again, at least not until her death. Mama was a child when the war ended, but she would never talk about being scared or traumatized by it. Neither did she tell any childhood stories. There were few adventures. She had few animal or human friends. She did not even get into trouble with her siblings. Narratively speaking, Mama did not have a childhood. First she was in the war, the littlest of the kids, and then, with the end of the calamity, a moot but exciting future opened up for her, and she had to leave her childhood behind. In 1948, when she was merely 11, she moved to attend middle school in Bijeljina, 5 miles and very far away from her village. She lived in a rented room, taking a train back home every weekend. She stayed in Bijeljina through her high school years, graduating with good grades in 1957 from, and this is only for the name, Državna Realna Gimnazija Filip Visnić. Then, as ever, she was a devout and conscientious student. In 1957, she went to college in Belgrade, the capital and the biggest city in Yugoslavia, some 80 miles and a century away from Brodac. She had first resided with 3 other young women in a dorm room in Studentski Grad, Student City. She subsisted on a modest stipend, with little money and few possessions, but she had fun, and still likes to reminisce about the beauty of communal youth, about the ethos of sharing everything, meals, clothes, experience, about the sense that, despite manifest poverty, there was nothing lacking. There were dances, igranka, at the university cafeteria, featuring one Mirko Schutz and his rock and roll band. She would sometimes go to 2 dances in a single night. U.S. movies played in the theaters, if with several years' delay. Esther Williams reigned. 3 Coins in the Fountain was a blockbuster, and the song from the movie was enthusiastically sung by the youth in their, shall we say, limited English. Cowboyski filmovi, cowboy films in general, and John Wayne in particular, were beloved. To this day, Mama, ever prone to passing out before a TV, stays awake for Rio Grande or Rio Bravo or Red River. Soviet movies could be seen too. The Cranes Are Flying, a post-Stalinist Soviet film about love and war and rape, would make an entire theater sob in unison. They also watched Yugoslav movies, as the country's cinema was going through one of its golden periods. The plot of Ljubav I Moda, Love and Fashion, for instance, revolved around the young people organizing a fashion show to fund their gliding club. The movie opens with a tracking shot of a hip young woman riding a Vespa on the streets of Belgrade, not exactly crowded with cars, while a sugary pop song, Schlager, warns us that a young man might be coming along. Unsurprisingly, she runs into one at a streetlight. In no time, he tells her that she should be in the kitchen and not on the Vespa, calling her a motorized schizo girl. She calls him a brute, and love is as imminent as fashion. In the photos from that time, my mother often looks like the girl on the Vespa, the balloon skirt, bobby socks, and a beehive hairdo. Indeed, she remembers watching the shoot for Ljubav I Moda. When I first saw the movie, I looked for her face in the crowd. The movie features not only young, well-dressed women and men laughing, flying gliders, and addressing one another as comrade, but also Yugoslav pop stars arbitrarily breaking out into badly lip-synced songs, one of them containing the immortal line, "Because fashion is the whipping cream and love is the ice cream." Jer moda tu je šlag, a ljubav sladoled. Among those songs was Devojko Mala, which would a generation later be unironically covered by a hip band, Vis idoli, I loved and listened to. Around that time in the 80s, I had great interest in the music and films from my parents' student days, and their youth appeared to me cool to the point of nostalgia. In contrast, I don't think that Mama ever longed to have lived her parents' lives. By the time of Love and Fashion, the gap between the generations was far too wide. My discovery of her cool past allowed for a cultural continuity between us. We could now have a common referential field. I wanted to have lived through such a youth, was envious of the experience of unbridled optimism, joy, love, and fashion. Mama would often marvel at the fact that I listened to the music of her generation, to what she called our music, but even when I was young, I was never as young as she had once been. My father wouldn't be who he is without the great Otto von Bismarck. For it was Herr Otto who, after the Russo-Turkish War, orchestrated the 1878 Berlin Congress and the subsequent redistribution of lands.